Hello everybody. So of course I am doing the dot day video. He bought more, Michael Saylor bought more, as he tweeted with the Need More Orange tweet, and of course the newly redesigned website over there at Strategy Tracker. Anyways, I want to specifically talk about the road to $100 billion. I have seen this on X, and I agree. I think once Saylor reaches $100 billion worth of Bitcoin, I think that will be a headline. That would make a headline. And of course, numbers are the best marketing. Numbers go up. Technology, advertising the numbers is the best marketing. You may remember when Bitcoin hit 100K, that was a very, very special day and a special time for Bitcoin. I think once strategy hits $100 billion worth of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, that's going to be a special moment too, that makes the headline and perhaps even creates some hype. Do they have a shot at reaching $100 billion in Bitcoin in the fall of 25? Well, back of a napkin math, let's go. Let's assume, well, with some of preferreds ramping up, let's assume on average they do $500 million a week. They buy $500 million of Bitcoin a week. That may be a little conservative because we oftentimes have billion-dollar plus buys from Saylor that are sprinkled. Maybe once a month we get a really, really big buy. So I think $500 million a week is conservative. Let's assume $500 million a week. There's 16 weeks left for the year. 16 weeks left at $500 million. Roughly, right? I'm doing back of math. That's 8 billion. That means we would, if the price doesn't move, that means we would have $78 billion by year end if the price doesn't move. So a simple rule of three here. To have $100 billion by year end, we need the price to move, and we need the price to move to about 142,500 is roughly the target. So is it possible to reach $100 billion by year end? Absolutely. We just need Bitcoin to reach 140-ish, and we need roughly 500 million worth of buys, roughly. Some of, hopefully sooner than later, hopefully better timed than not. But a mix of both things kind of takes us there, and that could really add fuel to a potential bull market if we have a strategy advertising $100 billion worth of Bitcoin. And of course, this is not that far-fetched, because when I look at the fundraising so far this year, I mean, this is crazy. They raised $19 billion in the first 8 months of 2025, i.e. they bought $19 billion. They injected $19 billion into Bitcoin in the first 8 months. To me, it's not that far-fetched to add another 8 billion, and if the price of Bitcoin moves, we could reach that headline sooner than later. And, of course, the Bitcoin market has been so boring. Oh, it has been so boring. August has been one of the most boring months. I should have taken August off and gone on a vacation. But anyways, I didn't do that. Anyways, it reminds me back, you remember like back in February or March, you had Bitcoin was like stuck at 80, 85 for the longest time. It was also a very boring period. Bitcoin, how it works, it has boring periods, and it also has periods of elevators down, stairs back up. And this is what you notice a lot on stocks, a lot on markets. They come down sharply, and then they take the stairs back up. I would argue we had a disappointing drop from the all-time high in August. We had an all-time high in August right there. So this is almost how I should draw it, like this. So we came down really fast. And are we slowly coming back up from the low of August 31 of 107? Are we slowly coming back up? I'm hoping so, and the market is beginning to anticipate the Fed rate cuts that are coming up. And the Fed rate cuts, in my view, should have a positive effect on everything. I mean, on everything. Any risk market, any growth market, any company that makes sense and actually invests in the future in the very long term is going to love the rate cuts. The rate cuts will expand the time horizon of the market. The rate cut will lead the markets to not think as much about next quarter, but start thinking a little more long term. And I can't wait, and I love it. And that's going to be a big, big catalyst for Saylor. So let's talk about a few of the catalysts I usually don't do these short-term videos because I'm only about the long term. But just a quick slide on the catalysts, right? So let's talk about the catalyst. We haven't heard from Saylor in a while. The call, of course. Loved that call, but there's been a lot of disliking online and on X social media. We haven't heard from him in a while. It will be very interesting to hear from him tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. He is having this speech, and hopefully it is widely available online. Hopefully it's not behind a paywall. I don't think it will. I think it will leak anyways, but hopefully we get to see that and this formal presentation of Saylor. Whenever Saylor does something formal like a keynote, typically you tend to learn new things, and often new moves for strategy could be hinted. I don't want to say discussed explicitly, but they could be hinted in these keynote conferences, and so I look forward to listening to him, and that's a catalyst in my view. Other possible short-term catalyst, the most obvious short-term catalyst that I see is Stretch breaking $99, and the day Stretch breaks $99, it can ATM Stretch. And remember, the demand for Stretch was absolutely huge, insane, right? More than 2 billion of demand on the launch. So as soon as it can ATM Stretch, I think we're going to see a big change in the narrative. And to me, Stretch should go up. Technically, the markets make at least some sense over the medium term. The markets should beat up Stretch, because now the markets are telling us 100% chance of one rate cut, and you even had this. You have 11% chance of 2 rate cuts. Some people are beginning to bet that there could be 2 rate cuts. And so the big question here is, if you get 2 rate cuts in one, if you get a 50 basis point rate cut in one meeting, do you spook the market, right? A lot of people would caution about that and say you could spook the market. That theory is so-so in my view. If I look at past cuts, it's so-so. Sometimes you have big rate cuts that don't spook the market. Sometimes they spook the market. So I don't really know. I think we're going to get 25 basis points. That should be just enough for us to break $99, because we're not that far, right? We are what, a little more than $1 away. We're not that far from $99, and he's raising the rates, raising to 10% yield on Stretch. So I think we'll get there, and he'll be able to ATM, and that will be a short-term catalyst. What's another catalyst? Well, possibly another equity, right? Another instrument, another preferred equity instrument, another instrument of some kind. That's I think, another catalyst that we could get in addition to Stretch being very successful. And so what will that instrument be? I have no idea. I tend to think that it could be an international product or an international instrument, and that's based on, I think it was BTC Prague, where he had very interesting things talking about with Alexandre Lézé of Blockchain Group. They were on the stage together. And he, to me, he was hinting at like some possible instrument in the EU, and so I don't know what that would be. I don't know if it would be like a different class of shares, or if it would be a preferred. I really don't know. But I think Saylor is working on an international instrument on TradFi rails, an international instrument on TradFi rails. And to me, that's the 2 short-term catalysts that I see. And then I have my own thoughts, right? And everybody makes a lot of people speak about their own thoughts and where they think this could go. But it's hypothetical, so I tend to try to not be hypothetical. But 2 hypothetical things that I think MSTR could look at is, how about issuing an instrument that correlates with Bitcoin close to 1? Like perhaps not a 1-to-1 correlation, but like close enough, like a 1.1 correlation or something. Like how about an instrument that correlates with Bitcoin, period? Because I know a lot of people love Saylor, and they would much rather buy a MSTR type ETF than they would rather buy IBIT. And in fact, a lot of instruments, a lot of Bitcoin ETFs, and IBIT is the biggest, but a lot of people who don't own IBIT and they own other ones, like Fidelity, for example, FBTC is pretty popular. They own it because for some reason they don't trust the centralization of IBIT. BlackRock sometimes on social media doesn't get the best views, and so oftentimes it's because of their views. So how about he could issue maybe an ETF or maybe an instrument that replicates the Bitcoin move 1-to-1, and he could issue that, and then he could be like, okay, well, I'm gonna back it up with MSTR values, and I'm gonna promise to support the Bitcoin network and run a node or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what you could do, or you could do something fee-free, or you could include some promise that makes owning Bitcoin via an MSTR-based ETF or an MSTR-based instrument something more ethical or something more interesting. And maybe the best way to do it would be to just do a fee-free Bitcoin ETF. Like you could do a Bitcoin ETF that has no fee, or like next to no fee. Anyway, so maybe he can't do that, right? Because he's not a bank and he's not a financial company, and so maybe this could be a preferred with very low yield, like a very low yielding preferred that mimics the move of Bitcoin. But I've been thinking about that, and I think that's something you could do. Lastly, tokenization, and this is based on my video from yesterday. And this is happening with and without him, so this is also important to point out. But yesterday, I modified my chart a little bit, of course. So, of course, Saylor is the TradFi black hole. Saylor opened up black holes in TradFi. It's sucking money out of the equity market with the MSTR shares. MSTR shares are the most successful product sold by Strategy. Strategy's main product is MSTR shares. It's the most successful product. They sell it to the equity market. Other products of Strategy are preferred shares, Strike, Strife, Stride, and Stretch. They sell these to the bond market, and Stretch, in my view, is directly targeted at the currency market because it has stablecoin-like features. As soon as we reach 99, we should be staying between 99 and 101 for the foreseeable future, and so that's going to take money out of the currency market. I think there's also an opportunity for Saylor. Well, of course, you have the real estate market, the art market, the gold market. I don't know how this could possibly work. I'm not sure gold or art is possible. Real estate, something maybe with mortgages, we would have to see what that would mean. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. I haven't started thinking about those. I think these are too long ahead, too ahead of us, right? I don't want to think too far ahead. I think right now there's one opportunity right now, and it's tokenized stocks. Tokenized stocks are a thing again. They're becoming a thing again. And from what I understand, Gemini launched MSTR token in Europe. So, and of course you have Kraken, who has launched its own MSTR token in MSTRX on the Kraken platform. And so you can see this orange square right there. That's the Bitcoin asset size, right? $2 trillion. That's your Bitcoin asset size, roughly $2 trillion. And you can see I put a little yellow here, another yellow rectangle. Yellow rectangle is the whole crypto asset size, right? And you can see what that yellow rectangle would look like. I guess I can put it more like this, right? This is going to be your yellow rectangle. It looks like this, and you can see Bitcoin is most of it. But then you have stable coins, and you have of course all of your world computer Web3 type platforms like Solana, like ETH. And then on top of those, things are built on top of those. And the things that are built on top of those are obviously also tokenized stock. And so eventually tokenized stock is going to grow the market share, the market size of ETH. And it's going to grow the market size of Sol. It's going to grow the whole crypto pie. Tokenized stocks are going to be added to the crypto pie. And so I think MSTR, and right now it's third-party platforms like Kraken, like Gemini doing it. But I think MSTR could look, if new regulation comes, could look at issuing tokens, MSTR tokens, in the crypto world. I don't see why not. I don't see why you wouldn't do that, because there's a lot of capital in that new capital. This is the new rich, but there's a lot of new capital that are in that ecosystem, and so maybe somebody is tired with their CryptoPunk, and maybe they want to sell their CryptoPunk for $750,000 because they don't believe in CryptoPunk anymore, and so then that money goes from CryptoPunk to USDC or USDT stablecoin, and then you take the stablecoin, and then you're like, what am I going to buy? Well, maybe you buy MSTR. Because you like MSTR, and so maybe you buy the token of MSTR, right? And so, or maybe you buy Coinbase or Walmart or whatever. But Saylor Strategy, as far as stocks that become tokenized first, I believe, a stock like Strategy would be extremely popular in a tokenized format, and it would be by default international, and it would be by default digital and a digital finance, and so that's also part of a transformation, maybe a more long-term thing. So anyways, this is a long-winded way to say that I think we have an exciting week for MSTR coming up. I have no idea where the stock price is headed. I really don't care about the stock price short term. So MSTR could be down, could be up. I don't really know. But to me, this is going to be an exciting week with new information in that conference, in that keynote speech conference that he does. And so I can't wait to listen to that as well. So anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice, only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.